Today is March 13th, 2021. It's been a few months since my last video. Just chilling out here in the park with my family playing over there. And as you can tell by the name of this video, 2021 is the Great Jubilee year. Well, what is that? Jubilee is a biblical thing that comes from ancient times in the Bible. And every 7 years, the Jubilee cycle occurs, and it comes from the 6 days of work that God used to create the universe and his 7th day of rest. And basically the idea is that all debts are to be absolved in the 7th year. You know, you let your crops lay fallow, etc. Well, 2021 is actually the Great Jubilee year, and the Camino de Santiago will open its holy door for all to enter into the great pilgrimage this year. And the plenary dispensation or removal of all sins, the forgiveness of all sins, no matter what faith or denomination or anything that you come from, can occur in this year. It's a very special year. I look at the term debt in a different way than it's normally defined, though. Let's just say it's an inequity or a lack. They define it as owing something to some entity, be it money or whatever. We all owe gratitude to the great creator of everything, the great consciousness, God, what have you, whatever name you choose to ascribe to it. We all owe a gratitude to that. We all owe a gratitude to our mothers and our fathers and our forefathers and ancestors. We all owe a debt of gratitude to many, all of our friends and family around us, because if it weren't for them, we would not be here today, and we would not be successful at all. So, what up, dog? This live thing is new to me, but this is the Great Jubilee year, and I see it in a sense that there is a debt, there is an inequity in human consciousness and understanding of information, of the way the world that we live in truly and actually works, and what's going on in this world, and how you and I are affected by it. And it doesn't matter your race, your creed, your gender, any of it. We're all targets to one degree or another. But I do believe, being this the Great Jubilee year, that a lot of things are going to be fixed. A lot of people are going to come to the realization that the Spirit of Jesus Christ is real, and that the truth of the Gospels is real, and that they should repent or turn away from the system that has led them down the wrong roads for far too long. Now, I must admit that I'm hesitant at all to speak of religious things really at all, because they're all loaded with so many connotations and preconceived notions and what I consider to be ignorant understandings, and I'm sorry if that offends you. All the things that we have done in our lives lead up to the moment that we're in now. And there's a balance that's kept inside all of us, of the good and the bad. And the keeper of that balance is the eye inside the eyes. It's Jesus Christ who sits on the throne and judges all as they're meant to be judged. And if you're not good, you won't go to heaven, and if you'll go to hell. It's pretty straightforward. All those who judge themselves in this life and die a death, spiritual death in this life, may come to realize that truth and accept the Gospels and to live their life in a way that is in aligned with them as much as possible. If not, you're going to die the physical death in this life, not being prepared for the spiritual judgment to get you through to the next phase of existence. You know, I was trying to think of what exactly to make the topic of this video as when I started making it, and there's so many different things. One thing that popped into my mind that I wanted to talk about, which deals with all this, and I'm talking, you know, in metaphysical terms, but quantum biology. Okay, what even is quantum biology? Well, it's the idea that at the cellular level, all things work in a quantum mechanical way, because you have to understand that the cellular and like atomic and subatomic levels are all nano-dimensional, meaning like 1/1 billionth of a meter. It's so small, it's hard to imagine. It's almost as hard to imagine as the scale of a galaxy compared to you or I. But at that level, and in reality at all levels, things work different than we've been taught that they work. Okay? People for thousands of years have been demonized for believing in magic or what have you. But magic is just the understanding that biology in the universe is quantum, that nothing is real in the sense we've been taught that it is. So tuning into your inner intuition and inner vision and inner voice is very important, because that's where the quantum interface is consciousness. It's in the processing of the information and the receiving, because that is also simultaneously the creation of your reality around you. And I can get into scientific proofs and blah, 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 but no, just look into it. Quantum biology, something really interesting occurs at the cellular and the DNA level based off of thoughts and consciousness that we have, belief. The best description for it will be the placebo effect in medicine. How it works, people believe it's going to work, so they're creating it. There's lots of scientific studies on psychic powers in the mind and people with multiple personalities, and remote viewing, the Stanford Research Institute. There's lots of scientific-based knowledge if you're interested in that sort of thing, but I come from a place where I like direct knowledge and direct experience, which is what I implore others to explore also, because I can sit here and tell you all day that something is a reality or something is the way it is, but if I can show you a way or give you a way to access the same experience which I had that allowed me to gain said knowledge or understanding, that's actual science. And if you can repeat it reliably, then good to go. So back to the Great Jubilee year. Repeating things reliably. Science has gone out the window. Knowledge, understanding are shot to shit. It's almost like we're all being suffocated, and that mask is just a symbol. And we're being suffocated in our ability to speak. And I hope that in this Great Jubilee year, people will take back their power as creators and remove that debt, those chains, that bondage that we've all been placed under, and regain our sovereignty as individuals and realize that we don't need anybody to tell us what to do, what to think, how to feel. We're capable of it on our own. The problem is a lot of people are atheists these days. They have no spiritual contact with anything, and they're lost. And those who are lost easily fall into traps. If you believe nothing, you'll fall for anything. I think that's what's really the problem in the world today, is most people are atheists and they don't even believe that when they die, they'll become anything more than worm compost. So what does it matter if you change your sex or become gay or do anything that's been described as a sin or that will send you to hell in the past? It doesn't matter. There is no such thing as heaven or hell. It's all a bullshit construct of crazy people who believe in something that is fake, like the spaghetti monster in the sky. That's the way they look at it. Because they've had no direct experience, because they've been cut off, because their entire lives they've been lied to, and they've never taken the opportunity to go through that door, that holy door that Jesus says he is, and entered the kingdom. They've never taken a leap of faith. It's all been fed to them from the time they were small children until the time they grow up as adults, and that's all they can tolerate or taste. But this year is different. People were prepared last year for this year. They were shown a contrast of what could be and a potential vision of the future, which I hope most people will not go along with, will not continue to obey mindlessly and blindly as they've been doing for so long. I see it all around me, even right now today, as people are driving by. There's people riding bicycles with masks on, and people riding their car with masks on, and people with 3-year-old kids with masks on. I'm like, you're all stupid idiots and morons, period. Sorry. Your virtue signaling bullshit has got to go. It's ruined so many good relationships, possible relationships. I live in a community where my children have not even been able to play with their neighbors without the neighbors having to put masks on their kids to go outside and play with mine. I mean, come on, we live in a community of a couple hundred people, all right? If you're really that afraid, you should just stay inside. Everything has been just so screwed up that I pray this Great Jubilee year, which it is, will truly take effect, and people will go against all of it and start with living their sovereignty, living their truth, not giving a crap. I mean, of course, you got to bend to the ways of society in some form or fashion. Sometimes you have to play the game, you know. But don't do it. We got a chance right now that still exists where we can speak to each other and we can share thoughts and knowledge. And all too many of us have been quiet for far too long. We've kept the things inside. We haven't had the conversations that we should have been having over the dinner table for far too many generations. And now things are hollow and it's just filled with bullshit. No one really cares what's going on with anyone else anymore anyways. Which has got to go. We have to have true connection. We have to have true community and true friendship where we all hold each other accountable and respect and love one another, period. And, you know, that requires actually speaking your opinion and be brave enough to offend somebody else if they don't agree with it. Just the way it is, you know. If my children are doing something that I don't want them to do, I'm not going to let them do it just because I don't want to hurt their feelings if I tell them not to. We have a responsibility to each other. We're all each other's brothers' keepers. And all the evil things going on in the world right now, all the abominations that we see unfolding before our eyes, we all have to recognize them and be willing to speak the truth that that's what they are, and not allow political correctness or any other guise of dogma or morality to stifle us, to shut us up, to quiet our voices. Because history all too often says that the road that we're going down right now could be very dark. But I've got hope. I've got hope that this Great Jubilee year is actually going to change things. A contrast will show people reality, and maybe they can choose the right path from here on out. I don't think it's going to happen overnight. There's hundreds of millions of people, and most of them are so trapped deep into the system that it's ridiculous. However, I think the awakening will continue, and I just hope that more people also build discernment, because the ancient powers that used to control everything, and still do to a large extent, co-opt every movement. They co-opt every message. They adulterate everything. All the information that you have is all upside down and backwards in some form or fashion. And when you think you found the bad guys, it might be the bad guys making the good guys look like bad guys. So you really got to go deep, and you really got to take the lenses off, the rose-colored lenses, and the bullshit misconceptions which you may hold, and find out that you might be totally wrong about everything you've ever believed in your life. I'm sorry if the camera's shaking, but it's a little bit cold out here in the mountains of beautiful, by God, West Virginia. Semper Montani Libri. The mountain men are always free, is what our state flag says, something like that. I've only lived here for about 1.5 years now, maybe 2 years, but I've lived in almost all the mountain chains in North America at this point, and free places, away from cities, where there's smaller communities who we can hold each other accountable. But I still see even today in these areas that these places are affected by just the same things. No matter where you go, you can't escape the shadow of the issues which we all face, which confront our freedoms and our liberty and our everyday life. The Great Jubilee, let's get into a couple other things as far as information goes, and I'll leave the metaphysical and spiritual stuff that I've rambled on long enough alone. Quantum biology, quantum mechanics, realizations of things in the universe, like I don't know, where oil comes from on our planet, for instance, and the whole great reset shift to go towards electric vehicles and that carbon is bad and blah, 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 blah. This is very short sighted, it's very dim witted, and it's not looking into things that are true. Like oil does not come from fossils primarily, it's produced in a metamorphic rock process known as serpentinization. Okay, and the serpentinization is happening at orogenic places all around the world, other words known as mountain building or spreading centers. And it creates oil, it creates methane, everything else. It's been happening forever. Okay, the oil comes up out of there and it seeps into other places and drainage basins and fills up, recharges. Just look into it. It's not a finite resource and it's not as bad for the environment as they make us believe because of the refining processes that we put it through. We don't just burn raw crude oil. Okay. So, and carbon, controlling the atmosphere and the ozone, that's total malarkey. Let's see. The sun is the most dominant factor in our solar system, and then the next step up would be the galaxy. So we have to look at, yeah, my bad. I might have had my hand over the microphone here. I don't even know where this phone works sometimes, but there you go. Thank you for saying something. Okay, boom, back to it. The sun, the cosmos, what is really going on with it? Those are the levels that we need to look at. Galactic cosmic wave, magnetic sheet fronts, the solar cycle, grand solar minimum. You know, Colorado and Wyoming are getting hit with a record snowstorm right now, and it's March. Up to 2 to 5 feet, I think. That's crazy. The grand solar minimum is basically a mini ice age that we're all getting ready to go into. The Earth is not continuing to warm. This whole idea of climate change that they want to throw at us is just a means for them to create a market to make trillions of dollars off of, selling your own air back to you and keeping countries that aren't as developed as the big dogs from developing further. They want to make third world countries second or first world countries, and they want to make first world countries stay first world countries. And all the people that go to the Davos, blah, 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 or wherever, they are the ones who actually are the only free people in the world. They can travel intra-border, intra-state, however they want. And they're immune. A lot of them have diplomatic immunity and dual citizenship. That's where we're at. And I'm not the type to fear like some particular big government corporation or family or whatever. Anyways, I think the Illuminati is a stupid statement to make about the people that we label it with. In fact, I think the Illuminati are the ones that are awakened to the bullshit reality that we're all fed, largely, and take steps to find out the truth. Those are the illuminated ones. So I don't fear these fools. I just think that they've had certain information which has been kept from the rest of us, and in this Great Jubilee year, a lot of this information is going to come forth even more. You saw the Q phenomenon since 2017 after the shootings of Las Vegas is when that started, and it just spiraled, and then suddenly everybody became a damn internet conspiracy theorist. My God. Oh, did you know? Oh! And those of us that have been out here for a hot minute have just been like, and y'all are all getting LARPed right now. It's a psyop, a mind control program to put you in a box, to label you, to call you whatever they want, to make it easy for outside observers to point the finger at you and say, look what a dumbass that person is. Is what a lot of the information has been shared true or not? Sure, maybe not. I don't know. I haven't vetted it all. That's the thing with information. There's no real way to vet it all unless you are the one doing the vetting yourself, and it's impossible because there's not enough time to do it all yourself. We all have limitations. Time constraints, family duties, all these things. Life from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed in the morning is continually demanding your attention. And hey, I gave you some of my attention today, which is very valuable in my opinion because I have a family to raise and things to do like constantly. So if I get to take 15 or 20 minutes to talk to you guys about stuff, it's a great gift. It's a great gift for me, and I hope you appreciate it as well. Maybe leave a comment or something if you guys think I deserve to be PayPal'd for this, but I can leave you all sorts of links, and I'll make further discussions about all sorts of stuff that I talked about. Here's a couple channels that I recommend you you look into Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project and Magnetic Reversal News. Let's see, Suspicious Observers with Ben. He's a good one. Randall Carlson's a good guy to listen to. A lot of good stuff there. Douglas Vogt. Not really sure how to say his last name, but basically he came up with the multidimensional theory of reality. Paul LaViolette is another good one to look into. All these guys have like a synergy of information, and not all of them are talking to each other. You may even know about each other at this point, but I see that the new paradigm involves them a lot as far as their information and understanding goes. Where do I fit into this? I feel like I maybe fit into this with that whole serpentinization thing and Atlantis and a lot of other things, which I have independently discovered. I notice no one else is really talking about, but people are interested in where oil really comes from. A regenerating process. It happens on planets and moons and bodies of rocks all over the solar system. For instance, there are oceans of oil on some of Saturn's moons. I look at it as a potential place for where life occurs, where life comes from rocks into like proteins. The actual process on a molecular level that occurs in the serpentinization process mimics so closely the creation and replication of DNA that it's not a big leap to realize that, hey, maybe the Earth gave birth to us. Life, that is, proteins, bacteria, fungi, viruses, all the things that live, the trinity that live inside our gut, we carry around that affect our consciousness. Your consciousness is not centered in the brain either. The body is in the mind is not in the body. If it just comes down to brain cells and neurons, you have extra brain cells in your heart and you have a shit ton in your gut. Maybe more so than you have in your brain. The ancient Egyptians and other people understood this, and how they knew the things that we know now blows most people's minds. To the couple people watching, the few people that have tuned in, hey, you guys are awesome, man. I just randomly popped this video in and decided to start discussing it, so thank you. I love you all, really do. It would really help me to get like more of a playbook down and take my notes and do it all and, process it and put it through the old, editing software and make it really snazzy for you. But I don't got time for all that shit these days, folks. You take it or you leave it, okay? But I will point you in a lot of good directions, I think, or talk about a lot of things which you might find helpful or interesting. And if you do, like, subscribe, share, do that. Leave me a comment if you think I should put my PayPal link in the bottom, because it's not easy. All the years I've spent learning this stuff and discussing it, I deserve something for it, because YouTube is straight up took my monetization capabilities away years ago, because I didn't want to stay on the constant cycle of having to create and be a creator, be the hamster on their wheel. It's all a big fucking joke, in my opinion. Oh, you're welcome, Steve. The mystery show, man. I still tune in once in a while, bro. It's amazing. It's been years, Steve. It's been like years, man. Time flies when you're having fun. A couple other things. Expanding Earth. Yeah, that's just like the most patently obvious thing ever to hit me. I'm like, of course the Earth is expanding. It's continuing to expand, and there's a lot of good information out there on the internet about that. Thunderbolts Project, Seeing the Pattern is another channel. Seeing the Pattern. He actually does some good videos on the expanding Earth, where he gets into it with all the graphics and everything that you'd really like. And the people that have originated the theory, and it's not a new theory. So we've got abiotic oil, we've got expanding Earth, we've got the plasma universe. What else do we got here? Quantum biology, spirituality, manifestations, magic human beings. Oh yeah, now we're in the paradigm shift occurring of psychedelics being brought into the mainstream, which again, I'm a little bit leery of. I don't know if that was a pun or not, but hey, you just gotta be careful anytime the mainstream takes anything and makes it a fad. I mean, hell, it's a fad to chop your balls off and call yourself Nancy right now if you're a man. So look at how dangerous fads can be. By the way, Tide Pods aren't that bad. It's just like baking soda and borax, and both of those things are actually good to ingest once in a while. So, sorry. Anyways, I love you all. I think I'm going to wrap it up and go play with the kiddos back there on the playground. Peace. One love. Leave me any comments if anything you want me to talk about, discuss, get into further. I'll try my best. Adios, amigos.